Hi everyone, welcome to Chemistry 151. I wanted to take you through Blackboard so you know where to find everything in the course. The first thing that you need to do in every online course is take the course entry quiz. You will not be allowed to see any of the lessons until the course entry quiz is complete, so make sure you take that right away. At the beginning of the semester, when you first enter our course in Blackboard, you should be taken right to the course entry quiz. There's also a link to the course entry quiz on the left side of Blackboard in case you need to find it again. Also on the left, there's a link to announcements. I will be posting announcements throughout the semester. I will generally also send them to your emails. Please make sure that you set up your Wake Tech email address so that you can receive email announcements and other important communications from me. You should also check the announcements page regularly just in case you miss an email. Next on the left is Getting Started. This has some information about how the course is set up. This video can be found in Getting Started. Getting Started also has the syllabus, which is very important. It's basically a contract between you and me about what the course is going to be like. If you have questions about course structure, please check the syllabus before asking your instructor. Next on the left is faculty information. It has a little bit of information about me, including my email address, my drop-in question hours, my STEM Center hour, and a short bio. The next link on the left, which is probably the one you will use most often, is Lessons. Lessons has all of the stuff that you're going to be doing in the class. Read the note at the top. You're going to assume that the due date for all assignments and tests is 11:59 p.m. of the last date listed on the folder in which the assignment or test is posted. For example, if there's an assignment posted in the folder for week 1, then it's going to be due Friday, August 20th at 11:59 p.m. If there's an assignment posted to the week 2 folder, it will be due 11:59 p.m. on Friday, August 27th, and so on. Although most due dates will be Fridays, not all of them will, so make sure you pay attention. These folders are posted well in advance, so you are welcome to look ahead at the assignments that are coming up. Feel free to work on the weekends, even though I haven't listed them here, since you can work ahead on everything except for exams. For example, if you are busy on weekdays, you might want to do week 2's assignments the weekend before week 2 officially starts. If we click on one of these folders, like week 2, at the top of the folder is Student Learning Objectives. These are what you can expect to learn in that particular lesson. They generally correspond to the course goals listed in the syllabus and are not meant to be comprehensive. There's also a to-do list. The to-do list is going to be very important for you to make sure that you're doing everything that's required for the course. Notice some things list what type of grade is associated with a particular assignment. There are assignment grades, homework grades, lab grades, and exam grades. You can see which things must be turned in and make sure that you do all of them. There is a downloadable checklist as a Word file that has checkboxes that you can check off digitally. Unfortunately, there was no way to make clickable checkboxes directly in Blackboard that stay checked. The checkboxes in the Word file are a good way to make sure that you've done everything in each folder. In the Week 2 folder, your first assignment is to read Chapter 1, Sections 1.4 through 1.6 in your textbook. You can read the textbook either before or after watching the lecture videos. I've given you my lecture slides to print out and take notes on while you watch the lecture videos. You can look at the total runtime of the videos to give you an idea of how long it's going to take you. Week 2's lectures have around an hour total runtime, which is less than half of the weekly lecture time in a classroom. However, you should plan extra time for answering poll questions, which are questions that you're going to be working basically on your own. You also need to allow extra time to re-watch difficult sections. I would generally set aside double the runtime to make sure to leave time for poll questions and some re-watching. There are poll question keys for each of the chapters. You would find the poll question key for Chapter 1 in the previous folder, because that is the folder in which we started Chapter 1. The poll questions I'm going to ask you are basically for you to work on your own as you watch the lectures, and then if you want to see the solution, you can look at the poll question key after you've already done the problem. If you look at the key while you're doing the problem, it's not going to benefit you. So make sure you're only looking at that poll question key after you already tried to answer the question. It's like exercising. You need to actually do some work to try to answer those questions on your own before you get the answers, so that you can build your mental muscle. If we click on the lecture video folder, we can see some videos from Chapter 1. You can click on Watch Video to actually go to YouTube and watch the video. There are captions which you may want to use even if you are not hard of hearing. In Blackboard, there are transcripts for each of the videos. After you watch the videos and read the textbook, you will be ready to complete your Chapter 1 Part 2 homework in WebAssign. You also have a 3-part assignment to do in Week 2. You must play 2 truths and a lie in Flipgrid, including making a guess about the lie on a classmate's post and replying to all guesses on your own post. You should get an email from Flipgrid when someone comments on your post, but just to be safe, you should check Flipgrid several times during Week 2 to see if anyone has made any guesses about your lie. Note the 3 separate due dates for this assignment. Next, there is a submission link for the Introduction to Graphing lab. This lab does not require the lab kit. Read all the directions for completing the lab. When you click on the assignment submission link, it takes you to a page that looks like this. Then you can click on Browse Local Files to actually upload the file and hit Submit. Lastly, in Week 2, there's a folder for some optional worksheets as well as the keys. Similarly to the poll question key, do the problems first and then consult the key. Notice that for each of these items, there's a Mark Reviewed button. When you click the Mark Reviewed button, it's like checking a checkbox. Now it says Reviewed. That's another good way to keep track of the things that you have done already and what you still have left to do. Remember, you can keep mental track on the to-do list at the top of each folder. You can print out the to-do list and check the checkboxes or do it digitally in Microsoft Word. You can click on the Mark Reviewed buttons or do some combination of the above. On the left, I've included a link to WebAssign. You probably want to right-click and select Open in New Window, so you can also keep Blackboard open. There are also links to WebAssign within the weekly lesson folders. Always check Blackboard for instructions first before doing the assignments in WebAssign, particularly for labs and exams. For example, you may need a manual posted to Blackboard to complete a lab in WebAssign. On the left, I've also added a link to the textbook, which opens as a new window. That takes us to our free online textbook. You can access your textbook this way: download a PDF from the website, purchase a hard copy, or you can access it through the app, which you will be downloading as one of your first assignments. The textbook has many great resources, including end-of-chapter practice problems, with answers provided for the odd-numbered questions. Contact me if you want the answers to the even-numbered questions as well. Another link on the left is Collaboration. Collaboration is a link to the discussion board. There is currently a forum for technical help and questions. If you have a question about how the course is laid out, that would be technical help, and questions would be related to the class. For example, what is an orbital? You can ask any question related to the class. Feel free to post your own discussion forum about whatever you would like to chat with your course mates. Just make sure that you follow Wake Tech's guidelines for ethical behavior online. On the left, I have also given you some information about taking tests. Exams 1, 3, and 4 will be taken at home, but Exam 2 and the final exam will be taken at Wake Tech's e-learning testing center. You can sign up through Smarter Proctoring using the provided information. I've also given you a little bit of information about the style of the tests, and you can get even more information in the weekly folder for the weeks which have exams. On the left, I've also added a link to your calendar in Blackboard. It contains due dates for each assignment. This is helpful for double-checking that you have met all requirements for the week, but the weekly lessons folder has a more detailed to-do list. Another link on the left is course resources. It has a lot of useful resources for you, like a link to the syllabus, some data and constants that are used by WebAssign, such as the periodic table that WebAssign uses. When you're doing your homework, I recommend referencing these. There's a printable periodic table, which is the one that we use on the exams. There's a link to some simulations, which are really cool. I highly recommend looking at those when you have time to get a better mental picture of things that you can't see. ptable.com is an interactive periodic table. I've also provided another place for you to access the poll question keys. Additionally, I have given you some information about the STEM Center. Another link on the left is to some tools, but I generally link to the tools you need directly in the lessons folder. The My Grades area lists your grades for the semester. The weighted total displays your overall grade. It's going to be updated throughout the semester so you can keep track of what your grade is at any point in the course. Some of the grades do get dropped. The lowest homework, lowest assignment, and lowest lab grade each get dropped. As the semester goes along, the weighted total is dropping whichever one is the lowest. If you only have one grade in one of those categories, then it's automatically dropping that one. But as you get more, the new grade could be dropped, and the formerly dropped grade could factor into the total if the new grade is lowest. The weighted total adjusts to drop whichever one is currently the lowest. However, those dropped assignments still will show up individually. For example, with the OpenStax app screenshot, let's say you didn't do that and you got a 0. It will still show that 0 in Blackboard, even though the weighted total will not reflect that 0, because that would be your lowest grade being dropped. Another link on the left is student support. Wake Tech has provided many really useful resources, not just for your academic success, but to improve your life. Here are just a few things to look at. Career and employment resources, disability support services, the ILC, which gives free tutoring. Did you hear I said free? Student advocacy and support, which provides resources for housing, childcare, food, and money, and a help desk for answering your tech support questions. Please contact me if you have any questions. I'm here to help you, and I really want you to succeed, so please let me help you. I hope you have a really great semester.